fun night.
What is up, you beautiful bastards? It is 9:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means only one thing: that Late Night with Take 3 is live. Episode number 53. I had to get an applause from Cody for not butchering the intro. We are talking about favorite Harry Potters with the release of Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald.
That's a different show. That's a different show.
That's late night. That's after late. That's after dark.
That's late night
after
triple
dark.
X.
That's late night after dark. Whenever we
That's
go
a
on
late
Twitch.
night you gotta pay for, kids.
Yep.
I am the Black Lantern, Brooklyn Vale, here with a full packed out panel of Take Threers. Starting off with the current champion, Late Night with Take 3 Ministry Debate Champion of the world, of the Full Metal and Multiplex fan trick communities of the world, Cody Newberry. Cody, how are you doing today? And a lot of Harry Potter enthusiasts coming after that title.
Tonight is going to be. I've said this. I always know. Each time that I've lost the belt, I knew when I was going to lose it. I've even texted Sandy on both occasions that when I lost the belt, so he knows exactly when I said it.
100% right.
This one is very interesting because I get champ's advantage, so I have to just debate one round. But the 4 people coming at me, I am terrified about. And I don't even get a vote, so I can't even bust the Hobbit or Sandy in the knees before they come towards me. So, it's a bad situation for me all around. But I'm excited for this. It's going to be a great night. Again, this is my favorite night of the week. I will literally cancel any other show to make sure that I'm on for late night because it is this group that we have is a fantastic group, and I enjoy it, and I hope I kick everybody's ass. So, yeah.
There's actually a question that you have to answer because I forgot to say it in the intro. How many signatures have you got to kick me off the show?
Yeah, sorry, guys. I hate to look out for the 103 people that we have, and the other 96 are myself and my grandmother. But we're building an army. We're getting closer. They're a little upset that you did not say Take 3 late night opposite, which is kind of bad because they really like when you screw up because it makes for signatures. But my grandma still thinks you're a son of a bitch, so we need to get you out.
She used those exact words.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Listen here, that Brooklyn's a son of a bitch. I'll tell you.
I can only imagine. Introducing next, the man behind the scenes. He is the news gatherer. Sometimes I miss him in discussions. That is Malcolm Goldilay. Malcolm, how you doing today? And did you end up stealing the family car to make it here in time?
I didn't steal the family car, but I found the elder one. So I managed to defeat the wizard, and I'm now the powerful one here.
What a grave robber over here.
All right, introducing next fellow Canadian. You can find him on Rhyme and Reasons on Suitor Days. That is the Sandman, Sandy Robinson. Sandy, is Malcolm telling the truth?
No, I believe he did steal a car to get here on time.
You guys together had to steal the family car to get here in time.
Well, no, but that's what I was getting to. I know that he stole the car. He came and picked me up, got me here first, and then motored home. I think it had something to do with the elder one, got him there as quickly as possible. But I didn't want to mess with him when he pulled up and said, "Hey," and pointed the wand at me, and I just said, "Okay, just don't say any of those curses."
I'm going to ask a tough question. Did you stop at Tim's before you came?
Well, he is from New Zealand. I mean, if he didn't go home with a double and an apple fritter, then there's no point in even coming. So of course he went.
The correct answer is sour cream glazed for donuts. Apple fritter's fine, but it's a boy among the men of sour cream glazed and many crueler. Joining us as well today, he had a bracket awesome debut in the debates. You're taking Cody to the edge. That would be one Robert Parker. Robert, how are we doing today, and how do you feel about debating Harry Potter?
Tonight's the night that I actually take the championship. Last week I was so close, so close. I came up just short on the
Talk
final
about
question.
Tom Hanks some more.
Yeah, I'll talk about Tom Hanks, Tom Sizemore. None of those people will be in these debates. I live and breathe this world, and yeah, tonight's the night I take it. I'm sorry, Cody, you're my manager. You're a great manager. You're a great friend. But I am taking that championship tonight.
If you
Live and
take
breathe
it,
it,
it
your
just
breath's
helps me
about to
more as a
run out,
manager.
son.
If you happen to take it, it just makes me a better manager because now you're a
Perfect.
double champion.
No great manager calls the people that they manage their clients. That is derogatory and condescending. Speaking of condescending, he was the bridesmaid, but no longer a bridesmaid. He is a former champion, Mr. Matt Kearns. Matt, how are you doing today? And what wand are you carrying today?
I have Harry Potter's wand. I killed that little SOB Four Eyes over there. I just walked up, and you know what I did? I did what everyone in the Harry Potter movie should have done, which is you just take a gun. Real amazing, more powerful than every spell, and you just clock it and took that wand. Ollivander was all like, that's not how it works. And then I hit him with the wand because I don't know how this works, but it's a blunt object, and I beat an old man with this, and I went on a spree, and it got really, really dark, and I was on many a wanted posters, Fat American, but it's okay. I pinned it all on Vinny, and he was drunk enough to think he did it. So
putting new meaning to the phrase, bringing a gun to a wand fight.
Why
so
did
guys,
anyone do it?
So as much as it'd be nice to sort of keep the flow nice and happy, we do want to discuss about a sad time that happened on Monday. For those of you who don't know, the great Stan Lee passed away at the ripe old age of 95. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe just from natural conditions, I guess, or like just a natural way. I don't think he had any disease or heart troubles. But the man had such an influence on not just comic books but pop culture. Like you look at, like to briefly sort of describe him in my words, he had such a youth throughout even like his later career. Like you saw like any of his cameos or any interview that he had this fire in him, and he had this passion, and you could see that in just the way that he carried himself. And like there was a gentleman who used to live here. He had died like 10 years ago, but he was always called the oldest teenager, even though he was in his 80s. Now, like to me, Stan Lee is the oldest teenager because he has an energy that you just don't see in anybody else. And just the mind that he has, and the people that were with him as well, Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, were able to create some of the most important literature, I guess pretty well. Like even though it's graphic, it's like a graphic novel almost. They're very important to how society is shaped today. I want to go to Malcolm first. Malcolm, how does Stan Lee affect your life, and what does he mean to you?
I mean, for me, like being a massive comic nerd and like being really into Marvels, like it really hits hard. Like because I mean, it's one of those ones that I was scared was going to happen this year, because if you have forgotten, early on there, he was in the hospital with pneumonia. So I mean, a lot of people were afraid that it was going to happen then. But I mean, but that obviously weakens the immune system as well. But I mean, it's one of those ones like it's sad that like this was something that didn't occur to me until after. It's like, wow, there's only going to be about 2 post-credit scenes left to, well, 2 movies that we're going to see Stan pop up in. So that really brought it sort of the perspective for me. And I mean, it's not like he died when he was young. It's one of those ones like he lived a ripe age, but yeah.
Yeah. Matt Kearns, I'll go to you next. as more so a DC fan, but I imagine that you have this fondness and this love for Stan Lee because I mean, like the competition is probably one of the greatest things. It's what gets these comic books to improve and try these new things. How has Stan Lee affected you? And his lasting image, especially for today's society, has been these sort of cameos. And what do you think he's gonna leave for the
thing I'll say first is yes, I am more of a DC fan, but Spider-Man, Daredevil, like these are some important characters that I grew up with and that made an impact on me in so many ways. And it's funny that you say competition because I always growing up, there's always this thing that I loved about Stan Lee that, and even to this day, is that he always carried the flag for comic books, not Marvel. Like he worked for Marvel, he wanted Marvel to do better, but he always carried the flag for comics for all these years. And I always remember the Batman '89 2-disc DVD that I have has like this featurette on the movie, and Stan Lee's in it, which like it didn't seem weird. And he was telling a story about Bob Kane, and he told the story about when Batman '89 is coming out. Bob was like, "Hey, Stan, where's Spider-Man in the movies?" And then Stan Lee sort of pauses, sort of looks away and looks back at camera. He's like, and then when Spider-Man came out, Bob wasn't there. And watching that, because I watched it again after this, I just fell into a real hole of watching Stan Lee interviews and everything, and I was like, Bob Kane was his enemy, his competition, but he talked about this man like that pause is like, I lost a friend, and watching Comic Book Men, Stan Lee was on there a lot, and you just got this sense that he loved the fact that he brought so much joy to so many people. That's honestly, I think, what his lasting impact and legacy is that he brought and still is bringing joy to people. That's why you never heard Stan Lee back talk DC or Image or other creators because he never wanted to kill anyone's love of comics. Even if they didn't love Spider-Man, he was going to tell them they were wrong. And he's just a really important person to me and to many people on this panel and many people over the world. And it really sucks that we lost him and Steve Ditko. And
we'll go to Robert next. Robert, you are sort of like one of the kings of fandom, I guess, like throughout the various ways. What does Stan mean to you? And like he was able to sort of like break the barrier and take comic books from being like the super nerdy thing to have it be mainstream media. Like how important is that today?
I mean, it's incredibly important. There's a reason that superheroes in general are the mythos, they're the mythology of today's pop culture. Whether it be the comic books themselves, the TV shows, the movies, whatever it is, that is the mainstream pop culture right now. And almost all of that, such a large market share of that is attributed to Stan Lee. Because exactly what Matt was saying, he spoke for all fans, whether it be for Marvel, for DC. He spoke for people reading comic books and consuming that kind of culture as a community. And nobody else since or really in the future can I see standing up to be at that level as well.
Sandy, I'll go to you next. I know as somebody who was an avid reader of Stan Lee, especially whenever he was really in the writers' room and the drawing room. What were some of your favorite Stan Lee comics, and what was it like? Because you are one of the older panelists, so you really got to see him grow to what he became. What was it like seeing that growth?
Well, as one of the older people on the cast here, you know what? Comics weren't always looked at. Comic book movies weren't always looked at as the cool thing to do. If you had one you brought to school because you wanted to read it, you generally get picked on, which happened. But Robert hit the best, like one of the best points is ever is that he helped usher in this new era of, you know, this Candyland that we now have, you know, in movies where we can go and see our favorite superheroes exactly how we imagined them in the pages of the comics. You asked me some of my favorite comics. I'll just bring up one. A long while back, when we all went through, especially United States, went through 9/11, a black issue of the Amazing Spider-Man came out that was written by Stan Lee, and there was no words throughout the whole thing. It was just panels of all the superheroes coming and helping, digging out, helping the first responders and doing that, and it was a tribute comic, and I have it, and I was really looking forward to it. I had my tickets to go and see him to get him to sign that particular comic, but in Calgary, that was the year that he had gotten sick, and he had to postpone his trip here, and I never got the chance to see him, and that really bums me out. But I think one of the longest lasting memories, or not lasting memories, but one of the longest lasting effects that he'll have is. And I'm a big DC fan too. So, when we had DC Comics, and they were really the only ones selling at a certain point in time, they were larger than life. They were gods. They were so powerful and so, so above us as humans that they could do whatever they wanted. Stan Lee really brought an age of heroes that we could relate to, kids, getting into costumes and having, girlfriend problems or school problems or parent problems or things like that. That's, I think, going to be the greatest legacy that he has, is that he showed us that heroes could be anybody, and it didn't necessarily have to be this, massive, guy with with an S or a bat on his chest. You could just be a flawed human being that had, regular problems. So for that, I'll always be appreciative of Stan Lee, because he gave me so many characters that I could relate to personally. And the last thing I'll say about it is that I love that Stan Lee had the back page to do all the commentary or the answer the letters that people came in. That was where I first learned about Stan Lee, because he would answer all of these letters, and I would read them. I would read everybody's comments, and then what he would write afterwards, and it made us feel like I actually knew who he was and I was friends with him, because I get those things all the time. So I'm gonna really miss him. I know he was 95, but you know what? It's always sad when you lose somebody that you admire.
Yeah. One of my favorite things actually about Stan Lee, like you mentioned about like the just how he made his character so relatable. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but he was one of like the big pushers of always having, like, especially in the Spider-Man issues, always having when great power comes to great responsibility, like always having a callback to that origin. Because his thought process on it was, you're always going to have somebody who's picking up Spider-Man for the first time, no matter what issue. You're going to have somebody who's never heard of Spider-Man. So you always need to keep that reader interested. Cody, I'll go to you. I mentioned previously, Stan Lee was a big person about cameos, and trying to maybe break up the tension a little bit, and maybe cause a little bit of laughter whenever we need to. What were some of your favorite Stan Lee cameos?
I mean, the cameos are great. This will sound bad and stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of the Stan Lee cameos, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I just love what he did his work. Like, I love when he drove the bus in Spider-Man Homecoming. I think that's one of the funnier ones that came out in the recent years, because it's just like, what, you never seen a space? Like, he just has those quips, and like, I think the one even in Spider-Man 3 when he looks at Tobey Parker, and I don't know the exact quote, but he literally says anybody can be.
I guess one person can make a difference.
One person can make a difference. Like, the thing that I loved about Stan Lee the most is, I'm not a huge comic book reader, but there was two comics that I definitely read. It was the X-Men, and it was Spider-Man. And the reason why I like Stan Lee and I like Marvel the most, and it's nothing against DC, but he said a quote: "As long as Marvel Comics is around, it will be real people with real situations in the real world. And that's literally what it took. Spider-Man was literally just a guy trying to find a job and complete homework and go on a relationship while saving the world. X-Men came out in a perfect time where inclusion needed to happen, and like, just because you're different in a certain way doesn't make you not special in any way. So I think that's why X-Men always stands out to me, because it's one of the things that I can't stand in this world is like racism or like looking down on somebody for being different or something like that, because it's just like, who are we to judge on that? And like, everybody deserves a chance. Like, and that's what Stanley did. Stanley had those moments. Stanley brought that stuff out. I'm just proud that we got him for 95 years. I mean, that's a long life to live, especially like you think like these characters that move up, like Denzel Washington, for example, is 50 years old, like a plus now. Like, you know, that's shocking to me. Like, one day Denzel will no longer be with us, you know, but to live 95 years and to see now, I don't think everybody saw this happening, and maybe Stan Lee even doubted it, but to see where it grew and got to see that 10 years of his movies rise to where they were, that man can go happy. Like, I know for a fact, like he was proud of what he put out, and we got to enjoy. So I think that's a miraculous stat for him, and he will definitely be missed. But the good thing is his stories will live on. So.
All right, so we'll try and wrap. We'll try to like conceal ourselves here, like a nice deep, just try to like make calm, you know, a nice sense of gathering. And I feel like this discussion was great to be able to really like get our thoughts out, get our emotions about just how much we love Stan Lee and the way that he has impacted all of us individually. Before we get into the movie news, I want to sort of like just raise our spirits a little bit, you know, try to get back into our normal jibber jabber. So we're gonna try a new game. We're gonna try 20 questions. So if you ever had that little thing where it was like guess and think of anything that you want, and I'm gonna guess this. So we're gonna try this out with movies. So on my little notepad on the laptop, I have a movie. What's going to happen is each of the competitors are going to ask up to, so since there's 5 of you, you will each ask 4 questions that are either yes or no answers.
4 questions. Good job, guys.
But I'm going to make a little bit of a rule. If you decide to get cocky and guess a movie before, let's say like your first question, you guess a movie, you're wrong, you're out. So if you try to guess early and you're wrong, you're eliminated.
So let's all guess so we can move along. No, I'm just kidding.
Dirty.
Oh,
the champion is never happy. Right, so we'll go in the order that I see it on the screen. So we'll go Cody, Matt Kearns, Robert, Sandy, Malcolm, then back to Cody. I'm going to tell you guys right now that this is a movie released after 2000. So just to give you a ballpark. So Cody, I will go to you first.
Is this movie animated?
It is.
Great question.
Okay.
Is this movie a sequel?
No.
Emma?
Yeah.
Is this movie part of a franchise?
No.
Good question.
Sandy.
Is this movie? Is this a Pixar movie?
No.
Was this movie released in the last 5 years?
No.
Sorry. Is this movie DreamWorks?
No.
Is this movie CGI?
No.
Okay.
Re-clarify. Like, are you talking
3D animated? Like,
are you talking
CGI
3D?
animated?
Okay, so it's
3D.
so it's 3D animated. I wasn't sure if it meant 3D animated or like motion capture, but yeah, it's CGI.
3D. Okay.
3D anime. Okay. I'll just ask: is it Disney?
Yes.
Is the cast famous?
Yes.
Is the movie adapted from anything?
Yes.
What was that question? Sorry.
Malcolm asked if the movie was adapted from anything, and I said yes.
Yes, and it was released in the last.
It was released after 2000, or 2000 or later, but not in the last 5 years.
Later than the last 5 years.
No, before the last 5 years. So between the years 2000 and 2013, that's where we are for release date.
Oh, okay.
So we're back on Cody with his third question.
Sorry, I had to get my wand.
You know what they say, small wand.
Do you know whose this is?
No.
This is Snape's. So shut your mouth, douche.
They don't call him Severus for nothing.
So it was released in the last 5 years.
No,
It wasn't.
After 2000, before 2013.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry. Gosh. You made fun of my wand. I'm sensitive. It's Disney. Okay. Was this released in the first 5 years of the decade?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was adapted. Okay.
Okay, so Disney
You got
adapted.
it, don't you?
I do have it.
Disney adapted
proud of
from
you.
something. CGI, 3D animated.
He picked animated, which was rough. He should have.
Animated. It's adapted from something. Okay, that's where I'm getting pretty screwed up on. Adapted from something. Ooh. Famous voice. Oh my god, this is famous voice cast in the first 5 years of the decade.
Ask if it was released in theaters.
What?
I'm trying to. No,
Any questions at all, Dash?
no. That I'm trying to think of a good question. God, Brooklyn,
Okay.
lay the fuck off of me.
Dang.
Shit.
Adapted? You know this, Robert?
Yeah, I do.
Adapted.
I think I have a guess too.
I think I do too.
Disney released in the first. Okay, this doesn't count as my question because I'm doing like what Cody did. You said it was released in the first 5 years of the decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
As in the first 5 years
Disney.
of the 2000s, correct? Like between 2000 and 2005.
Because what's
Yes.
messing me up is he was like, okay,
He definitely
all right.
knows it now.
I definitely know enough for sure.
Pixar.
That's why he's my client. Thank
It's
you.
not Pixar. It's just Disney.
When we're on camera, we win 40% of the listings.
I honestly can't think of it. I'm trying to think of movies because I can't really think of a question.
I'm just dicey on the year.
Yeah, was it released in like 2004? I don't know.
No. It's not.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right. So I can guess, right?
Yes,
Yep.
You want.
yes, but
All right.
Finish
So
it.
this was a movie that is Disney animated, 3D animated, not part of a franchise, solo film, released in the first 5 years of the 2000s, adapted from something, and it was
Hold on.
released in 2002,
No, hold on.
and I believe it's Treasure Planet.
that is incorrect.
Really? What the
2D
hell is it?
animated.
That's
Treasure Planet
incorrect.
2D animated.
That's 3D animation.
Nope, 2D. The
2D.
spaceships are 3D, but it's a mostly 2D animated film.
But there's still 3D animation in the movie.
But he said it was a 3D
it's still
animated film.
you are still incorrect, which means Robert, you will not ask your last question.
Okay.
So we now want to Sandy.
No.
What the
Adapt?
fuck?
Fucking with me.
Now we can't ask a direct question, right? It
I
has
know,
to
I
be-
know. Please let me go.
What do you mean by direct question?
Like if I asked you what year was it released in?
I can
has to
only
be
answer
yes
yes
or
or
no
no.
question.
Has to be
Yes or no?
right?
That's 20 questions.
All right. Okay. So, was it released in 2003?
No.
I know it. I know it. I know it. I know it.
Was it released in 2002?
It is not.
So it's released in 2005. Okay.
Chicken Little.
Chicken Little is correct.
Wow.
What is that based on?
It's
It's
based on
based on
Chicken Little.
I've never heard of the
Like the
I've
nurse,
never
like
The
like
nursery
the
rhyme.
The book
nursery rhyme.
about
Like
yeah.
like when Robert, but tell you the
I thought that was an
truth, me and
original
Robert
movie.
went again.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought that was an original movie.
The sky is wow.
The sky is falling. The sky is
The
falling.
sky is falling.
funny
That
thing was-
wow.
The only reason I was telling
Robert, when Robert said he knew it, I was like, okay, good. We're on the same page. It's Chicken Little, fine. And he goes, Treasure Planet. I'm like, what the hell? But it's all
I,
right. Me and
I
Robert
thought
still
Chicken
win.
Little was
Cool.
an original movie. I'm sorry.
You
I'll-
and Robert are good friends.
I'll tell you what. That's why I was telling Robert to slow down because I was actually going to write Treasure Planet down because if he had it, I wanted to say that was what I was going to guess too. So I was right there with him. I thought it was 3D animated.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. Cody, do you want to pick a movie and then we'll try it? We'll try it with you.
God.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I did have this number just in case anybody asked. Anybody want to guess at how much it made domestically at the box office?
Oh geez, not that much. One little slip.
105 million.
Yes, one little slip by one of the greatest bands ever, the Bare Naked Ladies.
105 million domestic.
You're not too far off. 135 million.
Oh wow.
135.
Okay. I got one.
All right, you got one. Okay. Okay. So I guess out of fairness, I guess you have to like. I'm trying to think of a way.
Information like what?
Like if it was released before or after 2000, I guess.
Let me just look up what do I have to do? No, I
Like,
think that's the problem. You limited it too much. There needs to be a guessing period. I think that's where you screwed up. Because
Okay.
you literally bookended in the 18 years. So I'm thinking I'm going to leave it wide open and see how it
Okay.
goes. Okay.
So that means that's the entire first round of the questions. It's gonna be narrowing down a release
Yeah, I was
date.
gonna
All right.
say. God,
Okay.
That's
So,
fine.
okay,
That's what you want to use.
I'm gonna go first, and we'll go in reverse order. So it'll go myself, and then Malcolm, and then Sandy, and then Robert, and then Kearns, and then back to me. So my first question, Cody, has this been nominated for an Oscar?
I'm going to have to search that just to make sure.
God.
I'm not. Literally, you play in this movie. I did not. Was it nominated for an Academy Award? Is that the question?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it did. Yes, it was.
Okay.
Well, that narrows it down.
You'd be surprised.
Bro, Pearl Harbor even got an Oscar.
That's sure it did.
Is it a part of a franchise?
I would not consider it part of a franchise. No.
Oh, that's not good.
I mean, everything's a cinematic universe now, but I wouldn't consider this one. So no.
Even Chicken Little.
Correct.
One of the greatest original Disney films.
Shut up.
All right, is it a superhero movie?
It is not. Matt pissed and left. Not superhero. I'm gone.
Right, Robert.
Oh, sorry, I go after Sandy now. Was it released after the year 1970?
Yes, it was.
Was it released before 2000?
Double check on that one, bud.
So it was released after 2000.
No,
Not a
after
super-
70.
Sorry about
After-
that.
Cody, did
Yeah,
you
sorry.
answer the 2000 question?
2000 on. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh,
it
it
was
was,
after
it was
the year
released
2000.
after 2000. Okay, so
Wait.
Matt,
Yeah.
you need to ask a question.
Well, okay, but since my computer fucked
Yeah,
up.
so here we're at so far.
Yeah, no,
Where it was
we're
nominated
going back to you.
Nominated for an Oscar, released after the year 2000, not technically part of a franchise in
the
Cody
answer is
speak.
no. The answer is no to released after 2000. No.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, so
so-
that was so
Okay, so it's not
released.
released.
Between
It was released in
1970 and
2000.
2000. No, between 1970 and 2000.
Yeah, that's correct.
Between 1970 2000, Oscar.
Nominated for an Oscar.
Nominated
not
for an Oscar,
technically-
not technically part of a franchise.
and not a superhero movie.
Not a superhero movie. Would the genre be science fiction?
It would not be.
Okay.
I want to get this release
Yeah,
date more than anything.
Okay, so now go to Malcolm.
Was it released in the 90s?
No, it was not.
So 70s or 80s.
It's I truly think it's the year 2000 because he originally said yes to after 2000, but then he changed it to no. So I think that it was released at 2000.
That's cheating because we said between the years 1970 and 2000. That includes the year 2000.
What? The
I'm
question
confused. No.
was, you said after 70, he said 2000 and beyond, and I was just like, and you guys were all starting with this is a nightmare.
Sorry.
Just continue.
All right.
Was
it released in the 1980s?
No.
All right, so it's either
Either
the
70s or the year
2000.
2000. Was this film nominated for Best Picture?
No.
Oh, fuck. That takes away what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Should have been. Ah, goddamn, that takes away what I thought it.
All right, whose turn is it?
It's mine.
Kurt's.
Okay, so trying to think for Cody, what movie released in the 2000s? Shit. Okay. Does it star a famous actor or actress?
Gosh, I hope so. It's a movie, so yes.
Well, there's these people. They're called
I know.
unknown. Cody.
Is it an animated film?
Thank you for asking that question.
Yep, that was my next
No.
one.
Malcolm.
Does it star Russell Crowe?
Gosh, I hope not. So no.
The movie you were thinking of was nominated for Best Picture, Malcolm.
It won Best Picture.
Yeah, it won Best Picture.
That was the same movie I was thinking of as well.
That's what I was thinking of as well, yeah.
They're more
It's the only movie I
cultured
could
than
think of
that.
for 2000.
All right, my turn again, or
Yeah.
all right? I'm
What
just
did Brooklyn
gonna.
guess?
Pull off the Band-Aid. Was it the 70s or not?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Is it in the 70s?
No.
Okay, so
There
it's
it
the year
is.
2000.
Yeah.
I've been trying to tell you guys. It's the year
We have to be more careful about how we ask decade questions.
You really have
Nope.
to be. Because everybody's like, after 2000. I'm like, nope. It's not after 2000. And like, after 2000. Nope, can't do that again. Sorry. So I don't want to like screw you all up, but I couldn't just clearly say yes, it's 2000. So, go ahead.
All right, Matt Kurtz.
No, Rob goes.
No, that's me.
No, it is
I'm on my
Rob.
this is my third question, yeah. I wish I could ask who the director was.
No, right?
Not technically part of a sequel, not a superhero movie, it's not a franchise. Let's go. Was it directed by Steven Soderbergh?
No.
Oh my god. Motherfucker. Released in
turn
the year
now.
2000. Nominated for an Oscar. Should have been nominated for Best Picture, but wasn't. It's live action. It's not technically part of
That
a
was not technically a
franchise.
question asked, but just my opinion. That this has no weight on this at all. But
Well, no, because I'm trying to think of like movies that people talk about that should have been nominated for Best Picture. You know, that's I'm trying to. I don't know. It doesn't star Russell Crowe. Technically a part of not technically part of the franchise. I hate this game so freaking much. Trying to think.
I love this game. It's pretty fun.
You know what? I'm just gonna go for it. Is it How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
You are correct.
You motherfucker.
Wow.
You bastard. I was nominated for an Oscar?
It won for
It
Best
was
Makeup.
nominated
It was nominated for
Oscars.
several. Best
Visual
set
effects.
design,
Costume design, and it won Best Makeup.
which deservedly so. You know where that came from? It came from the only movie I can think of that's not Gladiator that came out in the year 2000.
I
was
will
like,
hunt you
I
down
would
and
just-
gut you like a fish. If you like the facts, press the talkie.
Press the stop key.
I had two in my mind. I was gonna ask if it was Tom Hanks because Castaway was released there, and I was gonna ask if it was
I was Best
Denzel.
Picture
Because,
nominee, though.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, and then I was gonna ask if it was Denzel because remember the Titans came in there, and because the Schmodown has so many hard times with this with that particular
That's one of
movie.
my
I thought
favorite movies of all time.
I knew it was. That's why I was thinking about it.
Alrighty, guys. So now that our spirits are lifted, I think we have a new game to add into the rotation. Let us move on to the news. Now, unfortunately, Vinny and Kermit are on assignment trying to find the best batch of Miller on the planet. So Matt has turned his room into a B&B and actually has a foreign exchange student staying with him for the next little bit.
No, it's not actually. It is Vinny's cousin that came all the way from jolly old London to get drunk with his
dear
cousin.
God.
So let me go and get Zadius Potter. Okay, just give me one second. Zadius.
Can I get a drink so that I can survive through this reading of the news?
I'm
Yeah,
glad the
sure.
news
Do
is
whatever you
short
feel
this week.
like.
I'm glad
Just
the
give him
news
1
is short.
second. He's feeling a little jet lag, so just give me 1 second to get them all together.
We got a British. Oh God.
No, Zadius. Yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing Vinny talks about all the time. All right, just get up here and read the news. It's short this time. Hello, this is Zadius. I am Vinny's cousin, all the way from jolly old London. You American bastards! You didn't win the war. Britain just gave up. And now I'm here to read the news. So we have trailers. There's another Toy Story movie because you children who all live in your basements can't get enough of Toy Story. There's also a Pikachu detective. I don't know what a Pikachu is. We also have On the Basis of Sex. Or as my cousin Vinny would say, on the basis of sex, Matt still has none. We also have Fighting with My Family, or as I like to call it, Visiting Vinny. We also have Dumbo, which is what I also call Vinny. Mark Denali is directing a new Garfield movie, to which I ask, why does anyone want one after those Bill Murray pieces of shit? Tom Cruise is also no longer playing Jack Reacher because finally someone learned that action stars should be able to ride a roller coaster at Six Flags. And it's also been a TV show because no one really cares about movies. So that's it for your take-free news updates. I'm Zatius from jolly old London. Fuck you Americans, World War II was an inside job.
Are you sure that Vinny's cousin isn't Irish? Like I got a very they're after me Lucky Charms sort of
Well,
vibe.
you know what,
Coming
as an
coming on the end.
Irishman, that's insulting to my people, Brooklyn. Okay?
What do you
I
mean?
don't come
you
up
people?
here. I don't
What do you
come
mean,
up.
you people?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I sit here and
What do
say
you
so?
mean, you people?
So Brooklyn, a boot, hockey, cold. Do I insult your people? I mean, I do, but not in front of you.
frequently. Quite frequently.
Not in front of you. I do it behind your back like a gentleman. Okay.
Like an American.
You know what? That's insulting too. That's just insulting, sir. Can we move on and talk about the movie?
Just join the line of people that currently hate me.
Hey,
and
by the way,
I will.
Cody, you got another signature there. Just
Appreciate
saying.
it.
All right, so the thing that I want to talk about the most, and this is going to be kind of weird, but that Detective Pikachu trailer, I'm really torn. But I don't know if it's going to be good or bad because, like, it's just weird because this is the first trailer that I have watched like multiple times, like since Infinity War. I just keep going back to it, and I don't understand why. Because I hear Deadpool, but it's just like I get a like. It's weird because I can see this going around of like, can I
actual fuck? You're concerned that if it's going to be good or bad, this thing was set on fire before it's even come out. Oh my god! A furry Pikachu voiced by Deadpool. This has to be perfect. Oh my gosh, get your head out of your Nintendo loving ass. This is terrible.
Oh boy,
I am disgusted, and if you're confused, then I'm worried about Canada and all its education systems. Gosh.
So to steal a topic from Collider, buy or sell that Pokemon Pokemon Detective Pikachu trailer. Cody is obviously a buy. Matt Kearns, do you buy or sell that?
I'd have to buy it because you can't sell it for anything.
See, the sad part about it is you could sell it to several people. What's the middle category for buy or sell? Where like I'll Netflix it,
like pass.
Netflix it. I mean, listen, the trailer was interesting enough. I don't know any. My thing is about this movie is my real only.
You don't know Pokemans?
My real
Pokemans?
Shut up, Rob.
Right there, Birdie Birds.
My only interaction with Pokemon really was when I was on a vacation with my cousins, and they had like every video game ever. I would play Pokemon sometimes, and I'm afraid this movie, from the trailer, I got a feeling like this is going to be one of those real like inside baseball type movies where it's like they're going to have a lot of great Pokemon jokes, and I'm going to be sitting there going like, I'm going to be like, okay. I mean, honestly, I'm still of the mind. I wish this movie was when I heard Ryan Reynolds was cast. When I hope they're paying him all this money to just say Pika and nothing else. No other words. He just says Pika the entire movie. But we didn't quite get that. So I'm kind of like, I'll probably hear from. I'll wait until like Collider and some other people I follow who maybe aren't big Pokemon fans who go and see it and are like, yeah, you don't need to be a Pokemon fan to like this, or you really do.
Now see how you feel about the Pokemans, and it's like, this is an inside baseball movie. That's how I feel with the Star Wars movies. They're like, yeah, there's so much fan service to the Star Wars films, and I'm like, I don't get it, but it's like you still gotta watch it. Star Wars is one of the greatest film franchises ever made.
Never compare Star Wars to freaking Pikachu Detective. If you're a fan of him, he never said anything besides Pika, 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 Pikachu. Like now he's Ryan Reynolds. I'm waiting for him to just drop 17 F-bombs and just get off screen. Oh.
Hey kids, you.
I'd watch that. I watched that too, to be honest, though.
Robert, I'll go to you next. As somebody who also enjoys Pokemon like myself, what are your thoughts on the Detective Pikachu trailer?
Rob's on his way to the bathroom.
No, I was going to get. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to tell Cody. No, I don't want to tell Cody, but I was going to get food.
Just be a ticker for how many snacks Robert gets throughout the show. So
I don't even care anymore. Now I've told you guys I'm going to get my goldfish. I don't care.
Oh, wait a second, Rob. I just have a question. Do you think we weren't gonna notice you eating on camera at some point?
No, I was gonna cam off every time I grabbed one goldfish cracker and then cam on once I was like chewing it.
Welcome to Take 3 Cribs.
Yeah.
Yo, check out my crib. Me and Pikachu up in here. What?
Yeah, Snoopy right here. What's up?
Yo, they dream big.
Detective Pikachu is a movie I'm going to see in theaters. If anything, just for the memeability. Because I think it's a very memeable movie. And I think it's honestly not going to be that bad. Although I would rather have a version that is Ryan Reynolds just saying the words Pikachu. That would be a better version of this film. But either way, I'm still going to see it. It's going to make a shit ton of money, and I don't even care.
Sandy, buy or sell Detective Pikachu?
Okay, so I'll be 100% honest. I have not seen the trailer because I am exactly like Robert. I am gonna go and see this. I love Pokemon. I love the cartoon. I agree with Cody though. I thought if Ryan Reynolds is sitting there chatting and doing Ryan Reynolds stuff, but I would really love to hear Pikachu, and do his little sayings. But if he's just gonna sit there and be like, "Yo, what's up, Ash Ketchum?" Blah blah blah, yeah, and talking, that's not the true the true meaning of Christmas Pokemon is them not talking. That they say their own names. That's what they do. So I'm interested in it. So I'm probably gonna go and see it. But we'll have to see. But
is this movie canon? I'm just wondering, is this movie canon? Do I have to read the comics before I see it?
I have a confusion on this entire thing, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer because I like.
You're also interrupting Malcolm. Malcolm has got to say anything, but the champion has to get in his 2 cents whenever he can.
Oh, sorry, Malcolm. I was just doing my Brooklyn impression to you, so go ahead, Malcolm. You can start.
Oh.
You forget him every week.
Oh,
this is why I work with Cody. My God.
Well, I'm like, as someone I actually read about the source, like the actual game this is based on, like even when I heard this was announced, and because in that game it's about this kid who Pikachu comes to him and he finds he can actually talk to Pikachu, but no one else around the world can hear him. So everyone else will hear Pika Pika. And I mean, I enjoyed this trailer. I thought it actually did look good. And I'm definitely going to see this in cinemas.
Movie 43.
Okay, Caleb Coho. Jesus fucking
Christ. I did not
Christ.
see movie 43 in cinemas.
Okay. Listen here, Brooklyn. Yep. Pissant. The problem I have with this is why would you not just do a Pokemon movie? Like, why do you have to do this? No, I get that, you moron. I'm saying live action. If you're going to make it live action, why would you literally take the side of the side of the side of the side genre that you've done and pull this out when you could literally make a cool live action Pokemon movie with trainers and battling and stuff like that? That's probably what real Pokemon fans want to see, because I'm sorry, I don't even believe all the true Pokemon fans have played Detective Pikachu. I don't believe that's true out there. I believe they played Red and Gold and Blue and all those other games, because that's what I played when I was little. Like, why do you just want to see a guy go through the ranks and catch Pokemon and battle them? That would be interesting to me. Not a Pikachu voiced by one of the most iconic voices in acting going right now with Ryan Reynolds. It's too close to Deadpool. Everybody knows him as Deadpool, so it's awkward to see Pikachu talking as Deadpool. It's weird.
I think the way that you could potentially sell it is if you don't have him talking fully right away. That might be a way to possibly make this work. If they go right out of the get-go where he's talking like full on English, I think that'd probably be the bigger of the evils. But yeah.
Didn't they show that in the trailer?
Yeah.
Where like he, like, as soon as he discovers him, he starts talking, like, right then.
But then, what if he like say if it's like he's walking down the street or something, and he looks over and then he sees this Pikachu, but all you hear is Pika Pika Pika. Like, you know what? I don't know. Just trying to figure.
So he sounded stupid before, but then he can talk full English after we actually meet him and get to know him. Gosh. Pika Pika, Pika Pika. Hey, dude, could you grab me a beer out of the fridge? Because, like, I'm really thirsty. Like, that's awkward and weird. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Bye.
Okay, so we also had the Toy Story 4 teaser, which was I don't know. I really don't know. But I heard now correct me if I'm wrong, but I also heard rumors of Key and Peele.
There was two teasers. Because there was the first one for the cast and stuff and the random fork thing. And then I think it was a couple of days later there was this one with Key and Peele that was released as Ducky and something else.
All right, so I heard an audible groan from Robert Parker, so I want to get his thoughts right away. What are your thoughts on the Toy Story 4 teaser?
We don't need this movie. We don't. We didn't even need Toy Story 3. You could have just left it at 2. This trilogy.
Get out of your kitchen.
Okay, so my seat is north. I have a very small apartment. I am not a big fan of Toy Story 3. I understand the emotional beats that it does hit for a lot of people, and I respect that. With those beats, this trilogy had a satisfactory end. Every single character's arc, both the toys and the humans, was wrapped up at the end of Toy Story 3. That's one of the things I like about Toy Story 3, is it didn't leave room for a sequel. This is not something we need at all.
Okay.
Also, I'm eating chicken now, so that's my second snack.
Ding. Sandy, I'm not sure if you're AFK or if you're also grabbing a snack. I'll take that silence as an AFK.
That's an actual AFK.
Yeah. Matt or Cody, your thoughts on the Toy Story 4 teaser trailer?
I mean, Cody, do you want to?
I can just go real fast. I'm different with Rob. I absolutely love this trilogy. I think because it for me, I was little when I watched the first two. I was going to college when they dropped off the toys, and that heart connect. And yes, I cried 3 times in the theater, but they literally made me that's how they made the movie to work. I'm as against this movie. This is the second most I've been against the movie since the
somebody's playing Candy Crush.
Yeah, somebody is. Live action Lion King. I think this is the second one that I'm against because I don't get why you take a perfect trilogy that ended and start up a brand new thing because that's just a cash grab. I hope the story is at least good. I don't know how it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Matt,
yeah.
Okay.
Matt.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So for me, I grew up with the first 2 Toy Story movies. The third one came out the summer that I was going from 8th grade and I was going to be starting 9th grade. So it came out at like a perfect time for me because it was like, oh shit, I'm really growing up. I'm going to be in high school. This sucks. And it really man, that ending gets me really emotional. But I also have been a fan of a lot of the little shorts they've been doing. I like the fact that they got the whole cast back for them. I thought those were really fun, and I thought that was kind of how Toy Story will live on for the newer generations. Every now and again, we'll get one of those shorts attached to a movie. We'll get we have the Christmas special and the Halloween special that they can run on ABC every holiday. I never thought we would get a 4th movie, and honestly, for as intrigued as I am in the film, I'm afraid that this is going to be the start of a new trilogy. I'm afraid that it's oh, well, we're going to start a new trilogy because I'm the only way you can go is to literally repeat Andy's story with Bonnie. There's no way you can tell a story unless you I just don't know how you tell a real complete trilogy. And
not with the same characters, at least. Sorry to interrupt. But
yeah, but it's just
toys.
Well, yeah, with the same. But what I more meant is just well, we have to deal with our owner growing up and giving us away and whatever. But to me, that's the thing I'm afraid of is like, is this the last Toy Story movie or the start to something new? Because if it's the last, why are you doing this? You already had a perfect ending. The movie got nominated for a goddamn Best Picture because everyone loved it. Like, why do you need to, like, again, you see the poster of like Woody tipping his hat and getting all these Logan vibes. I'm like, okay, you gave us the incinerator seed. Like, am I gonna actually have to watch Woody or Buzz die? Like, what is your plan, Pixar? Like, what the hell, man?
Okay, so
that's my issue. My biggest issue is if this is supposed to be the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the Toy Story trilogy, don't do it. You already had a perfect ending with the last one. Just stick with the TV specials.
So going off of that as to like, is this a new trilogy or if this is sort of an add-on to the trilogy? I guess the term quadrilogy, as coined by the great Scary Movie franchise. Yeah. So if you do a new, I think that if you're going to do a new trilogy in that realm, I personally would like to see spin-offs. Like, I would like to see a movie about like. If it's like literally what you could do is if you would just take like Woody, this is gonna sound really gross, Woody in the box, and you just literally turn it around, and then you see his origin story, and they literally do a movie based off of like what you would get on the back of the box. I think that'd be really cool because you could go back to like Prospector Pete and like Jesse and Bullseye, or we get the 3D Star Command movie that we kind of got in the early 2000s as a TV series.
Show.
And
that's a great show.
I love Star Command. Or you could do, I mean, this probably wouldn't be the greatest critic-wise, but it'd probably do good money-wise. Do essentially the Aliens movie, but treat it as the Minions.
I'm out.
You have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful.
I mean, if you're talking about spin-offs, do it
up to 140 signatures actual with that comment.
If you're talking about spin-offs, like if I can bounce off of that set for a second, like do a whole spin-off with like go back to Al's Toy Barn and have an entire movie or just a short set inside just that building. Like just go back to the origins, make it an adventure movie. It doesn't have to be a buddy movie. It doesn't have to be like, it can be an ensemble, but like create new original characters. I don't need this to see the story of Woody and Buzz and Bo Peep and Mr. Potato Head and Slinky and Rex the Ham. And like, I do not need to see their story again. I do not need to see a continuation of their story at all. Create new characters. If you want to keep playing in this universe and you want to keep making spin-offs or series or shorts or movies, if you want to still keep creating content in this universe, create new characters to explore. Don't just rehash what we've seen 3 times. Because by the time we got to the third one, I was already sick of it. And I know I'm in the minority with that, but still.
To contradict I guess to sort of like rebuttal what you're saying, I think in Toy Story 3, 2 of the characters that we could really explore more would honestly be Barbie and Ken. I think there's a lot of potential. Go back there because I think of Toy Story 3, Ken was one of the favorite newer characters, and I think Michael Keaton did a really good job of getting that performance. Malcolm, I'm gonna go to you next since I haven't went to you in a while. What are like if you're the CEO of Pixar and you're like, we're gonna make a spin-off movie from a Toy Story character, who's it gonna be and why?
I would say don't make a spin-off movie of a Toy Story character. You don't need spin-offs. I mean, to bounce off something that Cody said about this just being a cash grab, I mean, it's one of those ones you can argue that anytime they revitalize a franchise or do a sequel that's a considerable length of time from the original can technically be considered a cash grab. Like The Incredibles 2 could technically... I mean, you could argue it is.
No,
I never wanted a sequel to The Incredibles.
Well, that's the difference. Incredibles 2 left off where a sequel would have resided. The Underminer burst out of the ground, and they continued on from that story. My problem with Toy Story is they dropped the toys off at the new girl's house, and that's it. Like that's it. There's no opening.
I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't disagreeing with you on that. It's more of the fact that, like, anytime they sort of revitalize a franchise, after all, it can. I mean, I wasn't saying it is. It can technically be considered one, because
Yeah.
Because it's one of those ones like they're doing a sequel to this movie that they've did for a while, like just to try and get more money. But like, take the Avatar sequels for example. Like they I would class them as a cash grab at this point. But like, I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment on a Toy Story 4 until I see the proper trailer. There's only so much we can. It's only so much we can tell from teasers about what the story is going to be. Until we actually see the actual trailer, it might give us a better idea of sort of what they want to do, what stories they want to tell with it. So, I mean, like, I agree we don't need it, but yeah.
Sandy, you have also been very quiet in this topic. You are the CEO of Pixar. You have the opportunity to create a spinoff of, let's say, not just Toy Story, but like any character in Pixar. What story would you greenlight?
I don't know. I mean, I would like to, it would have been interesting to see a sequel to maybe Ratatouille. That might have been fun. But I think what Pixar has done, pretty well up until this point, has been knowing what the fans are looking for, other than the Cars franchise.
They know what the Caleb Cohos of the world want.
Yeah, exactly. And but
Cars 4.
But as far as a Toy Story 4 goes, in my opinion, I don't care. I cried openly at the end of Toy Story 3, and that for me was fine. It was the ending that I needed. It was a trilogy in its purest sense. I'm not a huge fan of the Toy Story trilogy. I do respect it for what it is, but I agree with Cody. I think this is going to be the Toy Story equivalent of Matt said this, the Toy Story equivalent of a Crystal Skull, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I don't want that. I don't like it when franchises ruin themselves and taint what was good that came for, because that, think whatever else you want, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull taints the other three, and it lowers the bar, and I don't like seeing that. Pixar has been so good with coming up with innovative stuff. Just get some ideas and put out new stuff like you've been doing for 2 decades.
Hard Pod too did the same thing.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have a really good answer for you. Pixar, like I said, Pixar is really good about making a story and having that story end, so you're satisfied with it. And so I think that you could have stopped Toy Story on the first one, and it would have been one of the best, Pixar movies of all time, and I would have agreed with that. But just making tons and tons of sequels. I don't even want to see a trailer for this one because I didn't like the teaser at all. I thought the teaser was kind of lame. But you know what? Everybody's going to have things. You know what? Kids are going to absolutely drag their parents to see this 90 times. It's going to break 150 million its opening weekend. So Disney, yeah, go ahead. Do what you want. I just won't be in line for it. So.
But see, if Toy Story stopped after 1, we wouldn't have got the second best Pixar film ever, in Toy Story 2, the best of the 3.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Preach.
Except that it's the best Toy Story movie.
What's the best Pixar?
Sorry. The best Toy Story is Toy Story 2. The best Pixar is Incredibles.
We have the same top 2.
I think you meant Toy Story 2 is the best.
I go back to Incredibles more than I do Toy Story 2.
No,
I will say this though. When you were mentioning spin-offs and stuff like that, I agree, but I think they can be direct to video or direct to Blu-ray. But I would actually like to see Hammy, a Mr. Potato Head, and a Rex heist movie or escape movie or some fun. I think those 3 characters would be hilarious together. and I think it would.
I
be
mean,
interesting.
that would be hard because you need to find someone who can replicate Don Rickles' voice for him.
You can find
you mean
there's
Mr.
a lot of
Potato
people.
For Potato Head.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
they're doing that in this movie, so I think they.
They've already done that with Slinky. It was the guy who originally played Ernest, but then they replaced him with the guy who played Drew Barrymore's. Well, he died after 2. So they got I forget his name, but he was Drew Barrymore's dad in 50 First Dates. He's in a lot of Adam Sandler movies, but
he's a really good.
Gives,
I thought he was good.
He gives it justice. But in terms of like just overall Pixar characters, I think the biggest one fan wise that wants to shut off is the tank fish from Finding Nemo. I think that's the one that fans are probably screaming for the most.
Or even Hank from Finding Dory. There was a lot of talk of a Hank solo movie after Finding Dory.
Like
I never saw it.
Oh
so
gosh, this is the frustrating part. They work together as a cohesive unit. You don't need to throw them in their own movie. I don't want to watch something for 2.5 hours of the 2 hours of the tank game. That would be so boring to me. It really would.
What I was also going to say, you can actually see me pitch. You could see me pitch this argument on Movie Battleground when I faced off against Renee Villarreal Jr.
This was all just a
plug. What a plug! What a plug!
Segue.
I actually think Wall-E would have a really good sequel, just because of to actually kind of rebuttal Sandy, the way Wall-E ended, and that there's so many different ways that you could begin Wall-E 2. So the way how they get back to Earth, like how by and large would essentially try to come back and be that one corporation rule them all. You could delve more into Eve. But isn't it
kind of nice? Isn't it kind of nice to use your imagination and think about what would have happened after Wall-E instead of them writing it out and telling you how it should have?
But then I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent. Then you get endings like the fucking Mist, where in the book they leave it open ended. You don't know what happens, and then in the Mist he kills off his family just to open the door and have the military come in. That's why I hate that ending so much. It's like because it's so stereotypical and it's so fucking cookie cutter. You could have made that movie so much different, better. I'm sorry, that's a tangent. That's a tangent on a movie in an entirely different genre. Yes, Cody.
Is it funny is anybody really surprised that Tom Cruise is not going back to Jack Reacher since the last movie was called Never Go Back?
I'm just funny. Can I actually talk about that?
He followed his
Jack
own
Reacher.
rules.
Yeah, that's a good joke. See, me and Malcolm were actually talking about this the other day. I'm not a fan of the second movie. I thought it kind of failed to entertain me, but I am a big fan of the first movie. A lot of that comes from Tom Cruise. I thought he was really the only actor who could play that character and make it interesting, because I'm like, that movie is a very basic action movie. It was Cruise that made it interesting. He's the only person who I believe saying and doing this stuff. I get why they want to do TV. Honestly, and this is just me, I think after they saw the reception of the Jack Ryan Amazon series, they were like, let's take Jack Reacher and make it a TV show. And now listen, I love the Jack Ryan Amazon series. I've never read a Jack Reacher book personally. I mean, it makes sense. Honestly, I feel like this was less we're dropping Tom Cruise and more we're going to TV. Tom Cruise was like, there's no way in hell I'm signing on to do 3 seasons of a TV show, and so they dropped him. That's how I'm looking at it, you know?
Malcolm.
I read the article, and part of the there was a quote from Lee Child. He said that they were dropping Tom Cruise because of the fans' criticism. He was too short to play the role in the first place. Then he said because of that, then he thought we'll go to a streaming service. But I think part of that is what Matt was touching on. I think it was like, the Jack Ryan series is doing so well. We'll take this one over there as well.
Wait, okay. One, as a fan of Jack Reacher, who are these other fans that were making fun of Tom Cruise's size? And also, Dude, he's been short since the 80s. It's not a new thing. Get over it.
Well, there was a quote that I read that Lee Child said. I just don't know where that came from myself.
Okay, I don't care who Lee's child is. Why are people being such assholes?
Because they're people. They're people.
And Lee Child is the author of the Jack Reacher books.
I also can't believe that a joke I made during the news actually turned out to be an actual reason. For what? I honestly feel like that's kind of BS, and they're just like, I honestly feel like they're like, so Tom, Jack Ryan is doing amazing on Amazon. We want to go to a streaming service. Can you sign up for 3 seasons? Okay, listen to me here. I gotta plan my next Mission Impossible stunt, and that usually takes me about 2 years to prep. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, can we say that you were short? You know what? You can fuck your own ass. Sorry, I was watching Tropic Thunder earlier in the week. Les Grossman, greatest thing in the world. I love Tom Cruise, so this sucks.
Alrighty then, let's do into the next topic. On Friday, I guess, or I guess it's already out in the future for Malcolm. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald is a movie. I'm not gonna lie. I lost interest in Harry Potter after Deathly Hallows Part 2. I was like, that's a good spot to end. I don't need any more. So I don't give two fucks about it.
Says the guy that wants a Wall-E sequel. Good lord.
Oh man!
Accio fired.
So Brooklyn, if you want to know why Robert has chosen me as a manager, that is why. Thank you.
That's accurate.
I actually found that joke so funny. I actually forgot to laugh.
Oh,
Accio, come back.
And tell my fourth grade self to laugh at that because that's when I heard that joke for the first time. Go fuck yourself.
You saved it with the go fuck yourself. And besides that, there's too much going on there.
I'll shave your head too.
Bring it on. I prefer straight on fight to all this sneaking around.
Actually, I actually need a bit of a haircut. So Cody, you know what? You can come over and
got you.
Harry Potter.
Cody's a barber?
So
mad skills.
This is a show. This is a show tonight.
Don't do it, Brooklyn. Don't do it, Brooklyn. Shut up. Quit it. You got a show to run.
We're
Stop
back
it.
for Take Late Night 3
Brooklyn.
here on
Shut up, Brooklyn. Quit it.
Box Juke Trivia.
I think Brooklyn's been confronted.
All right, guys, you can catch us next time on Fireside Chit Chat where we talk about movies.
Malcolm, this is where we take over. They may take our lives, but they'll never take
our podcast. They'll never take our podcast.
They may take our podcast, but they'll never take our freedom.
Please, somebody needs to time code this right now for the end of your bloopers. Please. We're an hour and 17 minutes into the show. Hour 17 minutes.
I left this song since I was a little girl.
Braveheart. I know that doesn't have anything to do with Wizardry World, but can we talk about Braveheart?
What is he laughing about?
I no idea. I think it's a Canadian thing.
Look at the chat. Look at the live chat.
Live
chat.
Someone's watching this?
No, our host is experienced stuff.
He's under the influence.
Please start your rant, Jonathan Peckham.
I haven't laughed that hard. I was watching Whose Line Is It Anyway with my dad, and we were watching something, but it was the one where Colin Mockery's behind a green screen, and what was happening is there was a bunch of skateboarders getting nut shots, and it was literally like can't breathe laughing for like a half
Why
an
were
hour.
you laughing though?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy watching other people's pain, Brooklyn? Is that what gets you off?
Oh.
I think it was. I think it started out as a chuckle, and then Sandy was like, "Don't start. Don't you get started." And I'm
Okay,
like,
but
"Well,
what
I'm
started
done."
you chuckling? That's
Yeah,
what
what
I
was the
don't- I
chuckle
think-
from?
I think it was more so I was trying to just like get a word in, but then everybody else was just like,
So,
like, oh, yeah.
Sandy
so.
said mad skills, and it literally Brooklyn was just sitting there like, and then I said, take late 3 with Brooklyn, and he just lost it over that.
Jukebox trivia.
Oh, and by the way,
How
Dr.
about
Peck
that?
in the chat, we did talk about Detective Pikachu, and it's a shitty idea, but 3 people would buy a ticket. So, okay.
Oh, what the?
all right,
Back to
everybody, deep breath in.
How was it for you? It's pretty
So,
good.
yeah.
for me, being
So,
honest.
Serenity
yeah.
now. Serenity
yeah.
now.
So yeah, Harry Potter, that great franchise that has been a part of our childhood essentially, or I guess for Robert, he's had like 5 onwards as his childhood.
That's accurate. That's actually true.
Is it actually? Oh shit! Well then,
Lord of the Phoenix is the first one I saw in theaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first one my
Don't
mom
talk
let me
about
because
my
I was too
clientele.
young.
Oh,
So-
wow. Jesus.
I don't think I'm the only person here when I say that Chamber of the Secrets is the one that I go back to the most.
The Chamber of Secrets.
uh,
Excuse you.
The Chamber.
Love you, Brooklyn.
Secrets of Chamber. I
I'm
like
just-
the Secrets of Chamber.
I've lost my fucking mind already. It's like that's fine.
Roberts, talk about Harry Potter for a little bit. I'm just gonna go
All
hide in the
right,
corner.
so I'm taking over this fucking section of the show. All right, so
Bullshit.
sleeves are up, buttons are coming out. All
Oh,
right,
gosh.
so
Ew. No, please, no.
all right, so let me tell you about Harry Potter.
That's
Harry Potter.
That's Harry Potter. Put your clothes back
This
on.
is Harry Potter. I'm sorry. That's late night with Take 3. So Harry Potter is a film and or book franchise, depending on how you want to look at it. The books were written by a woman named Joanne Rowling, excuse me. She is from the Englands. And films were adapted from her books, and they're considered by many to be some of the best adapted like book to film adaptations of all time. They are incredibly complex, layered, but also sort of childlike fantasy novels that were turned into those fantasy films. The first 2.5 movies, first 2.5 movies were very full of childlike innocence. That's the kind of fantasy film that they were. The first 2 were directed by Chris Columbus, and you can really see the great world building done in the first 2. The third takes an extremely dark turn because it's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who, as we know, went on to do Children of Men and Gravity, films like that. So the third one gets a little bit darker, and we basically just follow this kid named Harry, Harry Potter. He lives in a cupboard under the stairs at number 4 Privet Drive, Little Whinging, Surrey. And I'm going to be done talking because Brooklyn's back now.
Okay, what's your personal experience? I think we've all seen the movies, Rab.
Shit, I thought I was reviewing them.
I think it's important. I think it's important to remember that the darker tone that Prisoner of Azkaban took was directly as intended by J.K. because that's how the books progressed. Like
The books didn't get dark until the end of 4 once Voldemort got back.
I don't know. Prisoner of Azkaban is pretty dark in the book. It's the whole serious thing and then being scared, the night bus, all that kind of stuff. It's a significantly darker book than the first 2 were, for absolutely sure. Not as dark as the movie
fair.
because Alfonso Cuarón obviously has a gift for that. But I think that's what's great about the movies is they did follow the books as closely as they could.
They're very good adaptations.
Yeah.
They're very close adaptations. My personal experience with it, you can also hear Malcolm and I talking about this with Zach Ford on Fireside Chit Chat this week. It literally dropped about 10 minutes ago.
Right.
That episode literally dropped 10 minutes ago. But my personal experience, my mom read the books to me when I was young. I was born a year after the first book came out in the U.S. I was born a year after the books came out in the U.K. I was born a couple months before they came out in the U.S., so I was a little youngin'. I couldn't read at that time. I was only like 4 months, so I know, slow learner. But my mom read the books to my sister and I, these books are the reason I became obsessed with fantasy. I would not love Lord of the Rings if it weren't for the Harry Potter books. I wouldn't love the Harry Potter. Like, the Harry Potter movies are things that I have been obsessed with for years. I used to have entire weekends where my sister and I would just watch Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets and start over, and then watch Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, watch Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets. We did that for 3 days in a row for the entirety of the 3 days. These movies and these books are the reason I became obsessed with movies and books. Like, there is nothing more to say other than, like, these, not only did they shape me in the sense that, like, the morals and, like, the lessons and the values that they instilled in me, because, like, they actually have a really good message too. They're not just kids books. But also, like, my obsession with, like, content that you can create, like entertainment, was founded because of these stories. So it's nothing short to say that these are the most important stories in my life. That's my personal experience.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No, like literally, I can't really delve into it much. Like to be honest with you, the most time I spent in the Harry Potter world was literally playing Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup.
That's my favorite video game of all time.
No, it's a good game, but it's not the greatest video game of all time.
It's my
but yeah,
favorite.
I had a lot of hours playing as Australia. First, I love their special, the surfing one.
I like French's special. France, not French. I'm sorry. French
yeah. But like, I guess the only other thing that I can elaborate on, this comes no surprise, is the score, and especially that theme and how they were able to they took a lot of risks and just in how complex it is. It is in the key of E minor, like that main theme, but they do a lot of different things. Just the way that they like with the chord progressions and like how it almost sort of it kind of changes key halfway through, but then like it's almost like an E minor chromatic where it doesn't have like rules essentially.
Is it chromatic like a color word?
Chromatic is whenever instead of you move in either full tones or semitones, that you literally just go.
Have to explain it?
No, I'm seriously curious because I thought chromatic was like colors had like chromatic shades.
So, for example,
oh my God, no! For the love of everything holy,
that's a natural. That's a C scale. That's a natural.
We are talking about Potter. For the love of everything holy, I hate your musicians. We've talked about this.
Cody. Harry Potter. What's going on?
I can't believe that we literally took time to talk about Quidditch World Cup, the video game, and chord progressions in a song on Harry Potter. Guys, I'm probably going to lose the championship tonight because he probably wrote what key is something written in, and I will have no chance in absolute hell to answer or debate that question. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Brooklyn, about your chord progression. I don't like musicians, and you know this. And that's literally what you tell everybody, so I have to pretty much say that because that's what you tell everybody on the internet. Harry Potter is literally one of the most beautiful stories out there. It got me into reading. I wasn't a big person that read, and I literally read all the books. I will also say Snape's storyline throughout the entire movies is probably one of the best character arcs in any movie series ever. Just for what you think he is at the first movie to what he becomes in the last movie, like, is so crushing. And Alan Rickman, again, if you've ever read the book, Snape is not
amateur.
Snape is not written like that in the book, but Alan Rickman delivered it on such a beautiful performance. These books and movies are literally the best. They're my favorite fandom. They're by far. I watch them every year. I'm progressively going through them right now. So I 100% agree.
All right. We'll go to Sandy. next. What are some of your favorite movies, and like maybe like where did the books rank as opposed to the movies? Just yeah.
So I will be totally honest. I wasn't interested in Harry Potter at all when the first books came out. It didn't interest me at all. And one of my best friends finally just bought me the first book and said, "Read it. If you don't like it, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We won't even worry." I read it 5 times in one night. I couldn't put it down. I just could not put it down. I went right out and bought all of them, all that were available up to Azkaban at that time, and then every single release after that, I was in line at midnight at my local Chapters bookstore with about 1,000 little kids who used to think that I was Hagrid because I was so giant compared to they were. So they just hang around with me with their little Harry Potter outfits on, and I would just be like, I'd do my worst Hagrid impression possible, but so I love the books. I'll always love the books. The books are so well written. J.K. Rowling is one of the is just so fantastic in the way she crafts a story. And then there's the movies. The movies are so fantastic. They're so good. I mean, out of all of them, there's maybe one that's weaker, maybe 2 that's a little weaker than the rest of them, but you know what, they're all the story. And I echo Cody so hard. The Snape journey throughout that whole thing, how he can pull off everybody hating him so bad, and then when it comes right down to that, even when you go to the 19 years later and you see that he's named his child Albus Severus Potter, that's the journey that he took throughout that whole thing. And it's an amazing thing to watch. It's an amazing, the emotion that he gets. And when you see the stuff in the Pensieve, and it's, Snape, talking about his mother and how much it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking, but it's not just his story, it's everybody's story. I mean, you go through it and you see, the change of Dumbledore's from Richard Harris to Michael Gambon. And pick your favorite if you want. For me, Dumbledore is the character, and as long as the character is being portrayed properly, I'm okay with whoever was to play it. I really loved Richard Harris, I really did. But you know what, Michael Gambon did a great job. The whole series is fantastic, and it's the fact that they went back in time to start Fantastic Beasts. I know a lot of people give Fantastic Beasts a lot of crap. I actually don't mind it. I've gone back and watched it a couple times, of course, because we play in these trivia leagues and they get asked an awful lot. It's a good movie. I'm actually looking forward to this one that's coming out that Malcolm gets to see already because it's Saturday. Yeah, I mean, it's just every single book I've read so many times that the spines are breaking on them. So for me, Harry Potter is just one of those awesome passions that I have, that I share with a bunch of other people on this panel. And yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
Cool. Malcolm, Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, like Sandy, I got into Harry Potter late because I found out that was about the time the first movie was about to be made. I found out they're making a movie based on this fantasy series. I thought, this sounds interesting, so I thought, well, go out, get the book, sort of read it up, so I sort of knew. And I mean, I read it, got hooked, went to see the movies and all that. I mean, I have seen Fantastic Beasts 2 already. I'm not going to spoil it, but I did like it. Not as much as the first one though. So, but that aside, like everything everyone sort of said is sort of accurate. Like Alan Rickman as Snape in that journey is incredible. I mean, even the change in Dumbledore's didn't really bother me too much. I know there's a lot of people which really did not like Dumbledore and Goblet of Fire. It didn't bother me too much. I look, I mean, Goblet of Fire is an okay movie. It did. I mean, it is down there for my least favorite. My most favorite movie is probably Prisoner of Azkaban. So.
That's actually a great point, Malcolm. You did talk about spoilers. So spoilers, guys. Snape kills Dumbledore. I just want to get that out there.
Yeah, that's an important one. There's lots of other spoilers too, but that's the main one.
What is wrong with you? Funny side note on that story. I was literally in theaters, and somebody was standing. We were all standing in line for the midnight showing, and somebody's like, "Oh, I haven't read the books, blah blah." And what happens in this movie? I said, "You really don't want me to tell you what happens in this movie?" And they're like, "Yeah, I do. It doesn't really matter." I was like, "Oh yeah, Snape kills Dumbledore," and they're like, "What?" I was like, "Well, yeah, sorry," and I walked away.
All right, so Matt Kearns, Harry Potter, go.
So when I was growing up, there were 2 franchises that were going on that were very important to me. The first was Star Wars prequels, and the second was Harry Potter. Harry Potter was the second film I ever saw in theaters. The first was Monsters, Inc., which only beats it by a couple of weeks. And I can honestly say it's one of the reasons why I'm here. I can still remember I can remember everything about that experience watching that movie. And I was lucky enough, I grew up with those movies. And it was a bonding thing for me and my family. I have read the books, but for me, I sort of read the books after the last movie came out more. So like stuff like Snape killing Dumbledore was a complete shock to me. Sitting there in the theater, I was like, oh my God. And, all these things. So I actually, as more of a movie fan than I am of the books, I'm glad that happened because there are more surprises that happen because it's like, oh, well, I don't know that it's Harry who's actually saving himself, prisoner of Azkaban. I get to find that out as the movie goes on. There are movies that I just constantly go back to. Me and my brother and my sister, we a lot of times have Harry Potter marathons where we're just watch all the movies over the course of a couple of days. And it's just, there's such great films, and Harry Potter is top 10 film characters for me. His progression is amazing, and the stuff that happens to him is just so well done. I love Snape, but I just think Daniel Radcliffe and everything he did with that character over the years is so fantastic, and it's a really, like, it just holds a special place in my heart that, like, it's one of the few films I've cried at. Well, definitely Always Part 2, because when you do the 19 years later and they do the pan and shot on Ron, Hermione, and Harry, and the John Williams theme is playing, I literally was like, oh my God, this is the end of my childhood. Like, oh God, it's done. It's over. That was my Toy Story 3. For most people, it's Toy Story 3. For me, it was like, I was like, nope, this is it. It's all over. This is all done. I just give up. I'm an adult now. But yeah, they're amazing movies. Order of the Phoenix is by far my favorite. It's in my top 50 favorite movies all the time. It is, which we might get into, but it is everything that I love about Harry Potter in that is just in that film. And I'm also one of the few who really likes Fantastic Beasts and Goblet of Fire. So
this might only apply to Sandy, but whenever he said "I'm an adult now," did anybody else get the song, the "I'm an adult now" song stuck in my head? Like, I'm an adult now. Yeah. I'm so conflicted because to go off on a bit of a tangent, whenever I hear the opening riff of that song, I'm like, it's either I'm an adult now or Keep on Rocking in the Free World by Neil Young. And I'm like, please be an adult now. And then I hear Colors on the Street. I'm like, damn it, it's the bad Neil Young song. Sorry, Cody. Music, I know it's the devil's work. But now we get into the fun part, guys. We get into the debate.
It's the late night.
The questions. Because Cody is the master debater for the third time now in these many months, he gets champion's edge and gets to sit back while these other four really Harry Potter experts. This is probably the most balanced topic that we've had since, to be honest, Wrestlers.
Mustaches.
Is probably
No, Mustaches was amazing, man.
No,
that was
the most stacked, I believe. Wrestlers
Yeah.
was the most stacked.
which is why I'm really excited for next week, actually. But
Me
yeah,
too.
so for those of you who don't know how this is going to work, Matt, Robert, Sandy, and Malcolm will draw for a particular order. Excuse me. Whatever cola drink I was drinking was making me really gassy. So you will draw for order. It's either a Pepsi, a cola, RC, whoever wants to give me money. We'll gladly accept any and all sponsors. But yeah, I have to do. Let's see here. There.
RC doesn't have the money to sponsor.
Or Big 8. We accept Big 8 money. But yeah, so they will go head to head in debate questions, and then the winner of that will advance into the finals, and then they'll duke it out, and then the winner of that takes on Cody for the Late Night with Take 3 Mini Speed Debate Champion of the Full Metal and Multiplex fan trade communities of the world. So Matt Curran, since you are the most recent champion, pick 1, 2, 3, or 4.
3.
Okay. Sandy, since you are the next recent champion, 1, 2, or 4.
I'll go 4.
Okay, and Robert, since you are the closest, since you have gotten closer to the belt, 2 or 1.
2, please.
Okay, so that means that Matt Kearns and Malcolm are going to duke it out first. And then we get Robert versus Sandy.
Scaredkins.
Now, I am going to try something. I'm going to try something different in the order of the questions. Cody, I'm going to get you to pick your question right away. So I have 5. I have 5 questions available. You get to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Which one do you want?
I'll take 3.
We'll take 3.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow, nice,
Okay.
funny.
I'll take 2.
All right. So, so now we're going to go to Matt Kearns and Malcolm first. Matt Kearns, because you are a former champion, 1, 2, 4, or 5.
I picked 2. I changed it. No,
Are you okay. Sorry. Final answer. What number are you picking?
I'll pick number 1.
You'll pick number 1.
God.
Final answer. You don't want to phone a friend to ask the audience. You don't want to Skype your grandmother.
Hold on, we can get a poll up here on the Take 3 page. Just
4, actually 4. No, I'll take 1.
Mike.
Okay, one set in stone, as the great Reggie Flynn used to say. A card laid is a card played, and we will apply that to this. You got Reggie Flynn to somebody from home. We used to play cards a lot. It's an inside joke that. It's an inside joke that like maybe 3 people in my family would
You
guess.
make me want to drink.
No way. My grandfather came up with that word. So
A card
played.
Card laid. It's a card played. Yeah, absolutely. Playing crib auction 45s.
Blackout.
Yeah. Okay, so Matt Kearns and Malcolm. Since Cody changed his mind for the 50,000th time this minute, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
4.
4. Okay, so the rules again, gentlemen, are as follows. If I hear you first, you will go first. We have 20-second openings followed by 15-second rebuttals. Cody, since you have Champion's Edge, you will not be voting at all during this entire process. So Robert and Sandy, keep your ears perked along with myself. Question number 4. Once again, if I hear you first, you're going first. Other than Voldemort, who is the worst villain in the wizarding world?
Umbridge.
Umbridge first. I heard from Malcolm.
Yep.
Okay. Bellatrix.
All right. So Umbridge for Malcolm, Bellatrix for Kearns.
What's the question?
Other than Voldemort, who is the worst villain in the wizarding world? So, Malcolm, you have 20 seconds for Dolores Umbridge. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Umbridge is by far the worst villain in the Wizarding world. Like, she doesn't really do anything interesting to thing, like the only sort of villainous thing she does is get people to write lines with a pen that burns in their skin. Bellatrix at least tortured Neville's parents, and she broke out of Azkaban.
Time. Actually ending their perfect timing. We'll see how that works. Matt Kearns, you got 20 seconds for Bellatrix. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Well, don't. Okay, I guess I took this question in a completely separate way, and I guess that's my own fault. Here's the thing about Umbridge. She at least is an interesting character. Bellatrix is kind of just a kooky performance and not really anything else. We don't really see her do that much villainous things. She kills Sirius, but like in the movies, you don't really care. Umbridge at least is an asshole through and throughout. You want to see her die. Bellatrix is kind of just there. She's kind of just secondary to Voldemort.
Time. All right.
Question.
15-second rebuttal. Mr. Malcolm, time begins. So next
time. Bellatrix is an interesting character. I mean, everyone wanted to see her die after finding out that she was the one that tortured Neville's parents. She's a Dursley. Like, with Umbridge, the only thing she's got is she likes cats. What villain likes cats?
Time. 15-second rebuttal from Matt. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Thank you for going back to the killing of Neville's parents off screen as being the only sort of thing that Bellatrix is known for. Umbridge, you already talked about. She takes her Hogwarts. She forces Albus Dumbledore to leave the school. She forces teachers out. She is a horrible person. She's also holding on to a horror crutch. She's at least an interesting villain. Bellatrix is just there.
Time. All right,
Can we say that they misunderstood the question?
I completely
100%?
misunderstood this question.
I misunderstood the question. Like, what was this question supposed to be?
Like evil?
I
thought it was
talking
evil.
about, like, which
evil.
That's what I thought. I thought which character was the most evil other than Voldemort.
That's what I thought. The wording really screwed me up on this one, Brooklyn.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. No,
I mean, worst can go in either way. Like,
I think Malcolm set the argument in the beginning of round one, and they both went with it.
Yeah.
So I think based off of the arguments, I think we have to go based off of their interpretation. I think we have to go based off of their interpretation.
Okay, because I would say relaunch it and let them go, but that's just me with the same answers. They just gave each other evidence.
No, it's fine.
Okay, sorry, Brooklyn. Go ahead.
I think the wording of my question was pretty straightforward. I don't know how else I can clarify it more. The way that they were going, it's almost like I said, who is the most evil villain? And like, is that
what you meant to say, or did you mean like worse? Badly written?
No, the worst villain. Like this is
so we fought the bad character.
Okay, they fought the correct battle. Yeah, they fought it right.
Okay.
Anyways.
See, I thought it was the other one. Yeah.
I'm giving my point to Matt because he used a point in Malcolm's rebuttal against him about how Bellatrix is really just known for torturing Neville's parents, and then he really got onto the attack on how Dolores Umbridge is actually this really good villain, and she has these different aspects of how to torture the kids. So I'm going to give my point to Matt Kearns. I will go to Robert next, based on the arguments provided. We'll get you about one.
Based on the arguments, I'm actually going to go Malcolm. I think Malcolm had a much stronger rebuttal than Matt did. Malcolm's opening was a little bit rough, but both of their openings were a little bit rough because neither of them really knew how to interpret the question. But I think once the argument got like officially set, I think Malcolm talked more about how like there's not a lot of significance to Umbridge, and like Bellatrix escaped Azkaban, like that's a big deal. I thought Malcolm had stronger points than Matt did once the argument was actually stated.
All right, Sandy, it comes down to you. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
Are you done?
Based on the argument alone, I think that I have to give my vote to. I I think I have to give my vote to Matt. I think the exact opposite of Robert. I thought that Matt's rebuttal was stronger. I thought Malcolm made a couple of points for Matt during his argument. So that's why I'm going to give Matt the point on this one.
Okay, well, Matt, let's answer the final. That was a greatly fought round. The question is whatever. Fine. We'll talk.
They fought the right
But
battle.
it's not your fault. It's ours. It's your question.
I'm just glad that I did not debate that because I would have debated that wrong. So
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad.
No, you're good, man.
Okay.
No worries.
Yeah,
man.
all right.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn, no worries. What's up?
Anyways, so Matt advances on to the semifinals, which means now we have Robert versus Sandy for words advance, something along those lines. Sandy, because you are the former champion, you get 2, 3, or 5.
I kind of want to pick 2 just to show Cody what it was because he changed it after that one.
I also picked 3.
And you also picked 3 too. So can I have half of 2 and half of 3? And just I will actually pick number 2.
Number 2. All right. All right. So once again, guys, if I hear you first, you're going first.
Mm-hmm.
Your question is: I have just gotten my letter to Hogwarts. You are the Sorting Hat. What house is the best fit for me?
Gryffindor.
Hufflepuff.
Okay, I heard Gryffindor first from Robert. That is Gryffindor against Hufflepuff. Robert, you have 20 seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Brooklyn was one of those natural leaders in this entire community. He's courageous, daring. He has chivalry. He is one of the most honorable, most genuine people that I've ever met in this community. There's tons and tons of examples, both inside and outside of the camera, that he may be a little bit reckless sometimes, maybe just a little bit quick to think sometimes, quick to judge, but also he has what it takes to be a leader, to lead a group of people towards good. That's exactly what a Gryffindor does.
Time. I will not pull the Jessica Morgan and say time more than three times. That's a callback to if you were one of the 11 people who watched the dance off this week. Sandy, you have 20 seconds for your opening statement. Time begins whenever you start talking.
I have to admit, Robert is exactly right. Everything that he said about Brooklyn is exactly true, except the one thing that he missed saying. Brooklyn is really chill. All the people from Hufflepuff are really chill. They just like having a good time. They like hanging out. They don't need to get into a whole bunch of trouble. They don't need to do a whole bunch of anything else. He's the perfect fit for Hufflepuff because he can use all of those leadership and those abilities that he already has. Plus, he's going to be a cool dude to have in the house with them.
Time. All right.
Hufflepuff be huffing the puff.
All right. Robert, you have
laughing.
Robert, you have a 15-second rebuttal. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Gryffindors can be chill and just hang out too. Look at the scene from Prisoner of Azkaban where they're eating the candies and just having fun with friends. Gryffindors can do that too. Look at all the shit that has happened in this community over the last year and a half. Brooklyn has been there through it all, being a courageous leader, taking his league from where it started to where it is now, moving through the Take 3 channel to lead this show to the best it's ever been. That's why he's
time. Excellent that I only had to say time once. You're getting better, Robert. I appreciate that.
I'm getting better.
10 points to Gryffindor. All right, Sandy. 15-second rebuttal. Time begins whenever you start talking.
The only problem with Brooklyn going to Gryffindor is that there's already a ton of leaders there. Brooklyn's magic would be lost in the midst of everybody else. Him being in Hufflepuff, bringing all of that leadership capability, all of that awesomeness that he brings over to Hufflepuff will increase Hufflepuff's awesomeness all to itself. So he needs to be in Hufflepuff, not in Gryffindor.
Time. Okay. Because of the nature of the question, I am not going to vote in this because I feel really weird voting for it. So I am going to go to Cody first, so that way he isn't influenced by other judges. So Cody, based on the arguments provided, who had the better argument?
Okay, the better argument is Robert. And the reason why I have to go with Robert is because he laid the groundwork and Sandy picked it up and just added chill and awesome. And I don't think that's enough. As much as I don't want to face Robert moving forward at all, I have to go with what's the argument's sake, and that's the truth about it. I think it was an uphill battle. I think Sandy did the best he possibly could against Hufflepuff versus, and I would have said Slytherin because he's a damn snake, but that's about it.
All right. So Matt Kearns, we'll go to you next. Based on the arguments provided, who gets the point and why?
Honestly, based on the arguments, I think that Sandy won it in both his opening and his rebuttals. I think his rebuttal of the fact of Brooklyn would be lost in Gryffindor and being in Hufflepuff. Like, Hufflepuffs do have these leadership things, but they're also really chill, and that would be a much better fit for Brooklyn. Won it for me.
All right, Malcolm, it all comes down to you. Based on the argument provided, who goes on to face Matt in the semifinals?
This was definitely a hard one to judge. But based on the arguments, I do agree with all of Matt's points that I think Sandy was really strong in the rebuttal about saying that Brooklyn will be lost in Gryffindor. So I'll be able to give Sandy 10 points to Hufflepuff.
Wow.
Not the way that I thought this was going to go.
For the record, I dropped a movie scene.
All right, so Sandy moves on.
Okay.
Sandy moves on to a rhyme and reason civil war in the semifinals. Now, Mr. Kearns, because you are the more recent champion, pick number 3 or number 4. Or sorry, 3 or 5.
I'll pick number 3 since that was also one Cody chose.
This is the one that Cody originally picked, but changed 4,000 times.
There's only 5 choices. That's stupid.
So, once again, if I hear you first, you are going to go first.
Yeah.
Question number 3. Based on just the first 4 films in the Harry Potter franchise, who was the better Dumbledore, Richard Harris or Michael Gambon?
Richard Harris.
Richard Harris.
I heard Richard Harris first from Sandy. So that means that Matt Kearns is getting Michael Gambon. And I will reiterate, the question is again, based on just the first 4 Harry Potter films, who was the better Dumbledore? So Sandy's arguing Richard Harris, Matt is arguing Michael Gambon. Sandy, I heard you first. You'll have 20 seconds. Time begins when answer time.
Richard Harris played Dumbledore absolutely perfectly. If you've read the books, you absolutely 100% know that was the absolute epitome of what Dumbledore was supposed to look like. In my mind, that is exactly where he was. He was so calm. He was so gentle and kind, and that's exactly how Dumbledore was. He treated Harry like his own family. He treated everybody like they were special. He was absolutely the most important person there. Richard Harris played him perfectly.
Okay. All right, I go to Matt Kearns. 20 seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Richard Harris would have in no way worked in Prisoner of Azkaban or Goblet of Fire. We need Michael Gambon to come in. Richard Harris was okay for the first movie to start off. Yeah, he's a nice old man, but Michael Gambon would have worked in all the movies because the movies started to get darker and you needed a more stronger, more powerful Dumbledore. Not just powerful in his wizard abilities, but also just in his manners. Richard Harris kind of just sat on the chair and clapped, whereas Michael Gambon was really involved.
Time. Ending early, a late night with Take 3 tactic. We'll see if this pays off. 15-second rebuttals will begin with Sandy. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Richard Harris would have worked exactly like he did in the first 2 movies, or the first 2 movies in the next movies. He would have brought that ability to be able to yell, and when he's silence, he is able to do that and gather attention from people. And Michael Gambon just came in and added anger to the whole thing. He didn't epitomize the rest of the
All right, 15 seconds from Matt Kearns. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Richard Harris had one scene where he yells silence, and for the rest of the movies, he's kind of just there for exposition. He doesn't really participate in the movies, whereas Michael Gambon, he came in, he changed things. He was important to the story. I think that is why Michael Gambon is the more important Dumbledore, because he was there for the changing of the guards in a way. He was a more important Dumbledore than Richard Harris.
All right, Malcolm, I'm going to go to you first, since you won't be the tiebreaker, I guess. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
This is a case of I agreed with everything that one person said, but I think that the other person almost swayed me to their side. And with that, I'm going to give my point to Matt, because while I agree with everything Sandy said in his opening about Richard Harris, about him probably being able to continue on that journey, Matt's argument, I think, was stronger because he countered everything that Sandy laid on the table, and yeah, so.
All right, I'll go to Robert next. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
So the one debate thing that I think was used that sways me one side is Sandy in his rebuttal talked about the silence, which is really good. Like dropping a specific moment is like super useful instead of just talking generally. I love when people use specific examples like that. But I think Malcolm threw that right back at him as a rebuttal. Oh, he says silence once. Or excuse me, yeah, sorry. Matt threw that right back at him and countered that example really, really well. So I'm gonna go with Matt there. Although I agree with everything that both of them said because I love both of these actors. But that was a very, very close fight. But I think that way that Matt used his example against him was really well done.
I would probably agree. I would probably give a vote to Matt as well, similar to how he was able to really take that point that was really the focal point of Sandy's rebuttal and really just sort of tear it down, and just sort of mix it into the almost the stereotype that Richard Harris wanted to be. Anyways,
I can absolutely say my vote would have went to Matt too.
You know what the funny thing is? If you guys didn't hear me, I thought I fucked that up. I was like, oh, fuck. Wow. Oh, damn. Well, I'm surprised this happened, I guess.
So, that means that we get Matt versus Cody. Matt has the ability to reclaim that title.
Accio title.
So how it's going to work is we'll do the same 2015, but I am not going to vote. It'll be the jury, I guess. The people that you eliminated will be voting for you. So Cody, after 5,527 times changing it, he decided on number one. Once again, gentlemen, if I hear you first, you're going to go first. Your question is, what is the best food or drink item from the Harry Potter world?
Butterbeer.
I heard butterbeer first from Cody.
Bertie Bott's every flavor beans.
All right. So I hear butterbeer versus Bertie Bott's ever flavored beans. Cody, you have 20 seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Butterbeer is literally one of the drinks that literally transforms you into the world when you drink it at any of the studios or see them drink it on thing. It's like, I want to know what that is. The beans, good Lord, I don't want any of those ever. Some of them are disgusting flavored. They're not good. Yeah, Bean Boozled came out. It wasn't that great, and it wasn't great when they did it in Harry Potter first. Butterbeer is literally a frothy, delicious cream soda that makes you feel like you're drinking beer without the alcohol. Kids, have fun.
Time. All right, 20 seconds for Matt. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Bertie Bott's is a fun game to play. Everyone loves to play those games where you stick weird things in your mouth. And also, there are delicious flavors of Bertie Bott's beans. The odds of actually getting disgusting ones are very low. Butterbeer is like soda with so much sugar, you will kill your teeth. I know, because I drink it in Universal, and your teeth are just dead. Bertie Bott's is a fun game, and you get mostly good flavors when you eat it.
All right, 15-second rebuttal. We're going to go to Cody. Time begins whenever you start yapping.
Talking about sugar that gets stuck in your teeth and can rot out your thing and be grass clippings and fart juice. Like, that's disgusting. No one wants those flavors. No one likes to eat those. Butterbeer is literally that drink that makes you feel like you're an adult without having the adult edge, and kids enjoy it. Adults enjoy it. It's a refreshing drink. It's something you can drink for all sorts of
Time.
Okay.
Time.
Sorry.
That's right. No, it's all good.
You were off my screen. I couldn't see you, so that's why your camera went off.
Sure. All right. 15-second rebuttal by Matt Kearns. Time begins whenever you start talking.
If you watch the Harry Potter movies, Butterbeer is literally the tap water of the Harry Potter universe. It's kind of the thing when you don't know what you want to drink, you kind of just ask for a Butterbeer, and most people don't even drink it in the movies. It kind of just sits on the table. Everyone eats the Berry Bot's favorite beans. It's a funny scene when Dumbledore's like, alas, earwax. No one cares about Butterbeer.
Time. Alrighty, that was a really, really good debate. I have a winner, but I am not going to be voting. It'll be amongst the jury of people who could not make it to the belt. Robert Parker, I'm going to start with you first. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
So I think Matt's main point in round one was the sugary thing against Butterbeer. I liked how he came out of the gate with that punch. But I think Cody really canceled that out for both of theirs by bringing that up in his rebuttal. So both of those points kind of cancel each other out in a sense. Overall, I think the stronger argument was made by Cody. I think that the tap water of the Wizarding World universe is really funny, for sure. And I really like the idea of the game. But I think Cody's fart juice example was enough to sway me. So he used the comedic timing to also make a point. So I'm going to go with Cody on this one.
Fair enough.
All right. Sandy, I'll go to you next. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
I was really, really happy with Matt's opening. I thought that he made a lot of good points about the jelly beans. I thought that Cody's opening was a little weaker than that, but I thought that the comeback came in the rebuttals, and I think Cody was able to hit on more points. So based on that argument alone, once again, I agree that the fart juice comment, really solidified it for me. Was the rebuttal that did it. So my vote goes to Cody.
Which means once again that your winner. And still, the Late Night with Take 3 Mini Speed Round Debate Champion of the Full Metal and Multiplex Interviews of the World, Cody Newberry. Malcolm, your vote did not count, but how would you have swayed?
I actually would have gone Matt for this
Not
one.
a shocker there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rob and Sandy going with you. Not a shocker there either.
No, it was funny because it said something. He posted something on Facebook this week and said, say something that I said if you pulled my string. And I said, my vote goes to Matt, is what I put on his comment. So it just makes sense.
Malcolm, explain why you thought I had the better argument.
It was, for me, it was actually when you said that the Butterbeer is the tap water of the Wizarding World, because it's true. A lot of it, it's quite often they have it all the time. Just and I mean, I think Bertie Bott's is a fun game. Life is like a box of Bertie Bott's every flavored beans. You never know what you're going to get.
I actually agree with Malcolm as somebody who is. I thought Matt had a better argument because as somebody who is not familiar with Butterbeer and who is not really familiar with the Bertie Bott's ever flavored beans, I don't venture into it that much. Matt sold it to me better that Butterbeer was this really just sugary, awful, it's just this one note kind of thing, where and he as well as really pushing down Butterbeer, I really got a sense of this Bertie Bott's thing would actually be kind of interesting because I give my point. I would give my point to Matt as Cody rolls his eyes in amazement.
It's just funny to me. It's fine. You're allowed to take what you want, and it's cool. Like tap water is literally like mine saying fart juice is not an actual flavor, and saying tap water is not even close to accurate. But it's okay. It's it's what you hear, and
I also
respect
love
your
how
decision.
Rob's like, I really love when people use specific scenes. I was like, I used a fucking specific scene and he went for the other guy. God.
Well, he got burned in the first round using specific scene, and you didn't. So
I suppose. Listen, here's the thing. I hate losing Cody, but he is a great debater, and I also, God.
But I
hate
literally
this
described that
debate.
it was Bean Boozle. It's literally Bean Boozle. That's literally what the game is. It's disgusting and awful, and you shouldn't play it. It's gross.
I actually.
All right.
Where was Chocolate Frog, by the way?
That's
I
what
know.
I
I
was
was
waiting
gonna say
for.
that. I was gonna say
If
chocolate.
he, after I said butterbeer, he said chocolate. If he would have said chocolate frog, I would have been like, "Damn, this sucks."
Honestly, it's one of these things in debates where it's just like your mind.
It's what first comes to your mind. It is.
Yeah.
It's what first
What
comes
it
to your mind.
And I mean, in saying that with Chocolate Frog, there's so much against it that it could be struck down really
Is there
hard.
because
By
you
the
can like,
way,
learn history and
By the
Well,
way,
I mean,
people,
apart from the
universal.
learning stuff, but if you want to eat it, you only get one good jump before you can actually catch it as well.
By the way, in real life, if you go to Universal, please, people, don't drink butterbeer.
No,
just
drink it. It's
ingredients of
fantastic.
what they put in it.
It's
Like it's sugary as
fantastic.
shit.
I'm
It's
scared of
fantastic.
what's in there, to be honest.
It's
No, it's great. It's great.
sugar.
People
No, that was
put
a good
alcohol in
debate.
their body, please. Let's stop.
You know what the thing is?
I'm worried about it.
It was a great debate. For some reason, I always just hate losing to Cody.
Matt, I think that you're in the absolute majority in that that particular thing. I think all 4 remaining members of this panel hate losing to Cody, which happens all the fucking time.
I
Yeah.
want to see what the 5th question was. Can it be a triple threat between Robert,
We'll-
Sandy, and
we'll-
Rob,
do
Sandy,
it.
and Malcolm.
We'll do it after stream.
Okay.
That's
Cody, Cody, I do want to go to you though. You thought you weren't gonna win.
Looking for-
I can already imagine what you're gonna say is that Robert didn't get past Sandy, and I think that's why you think you won. But prove me wrong. How do you feel about your performance and the other performances today?
Oh, my client got absolutely effing robbed. There's no question about it. The man got hosed. The man, I literally, the abuse that man took on that ruling, I would literally have to call a place and get the people arrested that did it to him. Like, disgusted. I'm disgusted, but it's what it is. I understand. You can rule how you want, but the man literally, Sandy laid down he literally just took Robert's thing and said chill and awesome and literally won, and I respect it and awesome. That's cool. But me winning, I've said this before, with me and Robert on the panel, we at least win most of the time. One of us will win, and that's what happened right now. I won the debate. Next week is wrestling, so I have to literally redeem myself in wrestling.
Ooh,
That's
can I
one
read
of
the
times
questions again, Brooklyn?
No. I will not be here. The one thing is, nothing against Malcolm, nothing against Matt. The best question writer for debate is Brooklyn Vale.
That's true.
Even though I knew for a fact he was going to put a freaking food question in the thing, and I knew it was coming, and I hated every bit of it.
Hey, Malcolm, how do you feel that Cody just sits here and insults us? Isn't that amazing?
I mean, Cody could have stuck with
I haven't won a debate in Malcolm's eyes in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, I have yet to win one debate from him. I have it on a notebook,
So what? Fight
and
better
I'm literally
fights.
flying to New Zealand.
I mean, Cody, imagine how would it have gone if you had stuck with question number 3.
What was question number 3 again?
Oh,
It was the one close-ended question.
That's true. No, you know why? You know why I switched? This is literally what happened. I said number 3, and Brooklyn went, oh, I want question number 2. I want question number 2. I know what it is. It's Hulk Hogan and John Cena all over again. Nope. So, yeah. I love this show. I love debating. It's getting, like I say every week, it's getting worse and worse to keep this belt because everybody's getting better and better and better. And my client will return, and he will be the only one I am okay with losing to. So,
Apparently, we're
Respect
not getting better is the thing.
Because he's
Bow
not.
down to the Fandom Fights champion.
Kneel before Zod.
Damn.
Okay, so I have
Obliviosa.
good news, great news, bad news, and worse news.
Oh shit!
Give me the worst news first.
Yeah, worst
Yeah,
news
give us the
first.
worst news first.
The worst news is that, well, this is the worst news for Cody, is that I am competing next week, which means that I am not writing the questions. The good news and the greater news is that we are doing a Survivor Series themed episode of Lino Take 3, and we have Aaron Turner. He's going to be coming on as a guest, and hopefully he'll be able to hop into the debates, because I would love to hear that man debate wrestling and potentially take that belt off of Cody. This is essentially now the world against Cody, trying to get that belt off him. I have come pretty darn close to doing it before. I think I might have. I think I have.
I
yeah,
technically did it.
No,
Technically, I
the
did it. I
only
beat
person
him.
to beat me, there's two people. It is Sandy, and it is Matt. Matt are the only two that were able to take me down. You beat Sandy, that beat me in the first round on Hulk Hogan versus you shit the bed twice when fighting against me. Just remember that.
Wait,
No,
or
Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Brooklyn. He lost on a sandwich. The thing he's proudest of. He lost to me on sandwiches.
I will go back and argue that for hours. It is 12:30. I will argue that until 6 a.m.
He'll go unlist that episode.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that is going to wrap it up. We are almost at 2.5 hours. This has been a really good show today. I do want to thank the entire panel for coming on today. And like I said, next week, be sure to check us out for a Survivor Series themed episode with guest Aaron Turner. We'll do some plugs right quick. Cody Newberry, the still late night Take 3 Minutes Speed Debate champion of the Full Metal and Multiplex fan communities in the world. Where can the cookies will find it?
You can find me on watch-alongs with my really, really, really good friend in this community, Robert the Hobbit Parker. You can find me on Thursdays on my favorite show, Late Night with Take 3, which you're watching right now, so I don't know why I'm plugging it. You can find me Fridays on Full Metal Geek, where me, Robert, and RJ help run that, and we're doing, I think, a pretty good job. You can also find me returning this Sunday to Rankum as the pissed-off, grumpy old man in the corner that tells you where you're wrong and where you can get better.
Malcolm, I just forgot I have an appointment on Sunday. I can't be there.
Yeah, brother.
I also hate Cody, so I also have an appointment at 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, you can also find me on an upcoming Triple Threat in Multiplex as I special commentate a Triple Threat match between Dominic Rizzi, Case, and Jen Kemp. And I will be live on the desk to find out who my client will defend his title and who will win second place to Robert the Hobbit Parker.
Robert, you could do better. Matt Kearns, where can the cool kids of the world find you?
You guys, as always, can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter, MattMoves611 on YouTube, right here as co-host of Rhyme and Reason with Mr. Sandy Robinson. Episode 1 of our Star Wars discussion drops this week. It's going to be a ton of fun. And you can also find me, if you live in Smithtown, New York, you can find me pacing around my room tonight thinking about how I could have debated better, because that's how I spend most of the nights when I get off this show.
Alrighty. The person who has been essentially added to the usual suspect list, Robert Parker, where can the cool kids of the world find you?
You can find me personally on Twitter and Letterboxd at RBRTPRKR98. That's my first and last name, no vowels plus a year. You can find me doing admin and hosting duties here on Take 3 Productions, specifically Wednesday nights, where me, Cody, and sometimes Linus do the weekly watch-alongs. And then you can find me doing admin, hosting, and question writing duties on Full Metal Geek, where I'm the head question writer for that league. You can find me on the 2 podcasts I do, one talking about Phineas and Ferb called Podcast Without a Cool Acronym, or PWCA, a chance to let somebody do that. Or you can find me on Fireside Chit Chat, where Zach Ford and I talk Fireside Chit Chat, where Zach Ford and I talk movies, music, and pop culture nonsense. I just had a stroke halfway through that one. And you can find me opening for a headlining comedian if you go near the Stevens Point, Wisconsin area. I did do a comedy open mic night last night, and I'm opening for a headliner next semester, so you can check that out too.
That was
All right,
awesome.
fellow Canadian,
That's
the
awesome.
Sandman, Sandy Robinson. Where can the cool kids of the world find you?
Thanks for having me again, Brooklyn. It's so fun to be on here with this group of guys. Yeah, you guys can all find me on Facebook and on Twitter at srobinson1799. Like my partner Matt Kern said, every Saturday with Rhyme and Reason, our two-parter of Star Wars is dropping this next 2 weeks. It was a fantastic conversation. You know what? And you can find me all over Full Metal Trivia. I am playing and scheduling and doing most of the awesome things that go on there with Jeremy and Jeremy Adams and Jeff Aru. If you need a match, you just come to us and we'll get you hooked up. Other than that, I'm here on Take 3 on Thursdays, like always.
Wait, you guys
All
are
right.
doing hookups? That's awesome.
News gatherer, producer, man behind the scenes, retail around Malcolm Goldie. Where can the cool kids of the world find you?
You can find me on Take 3, where I host Rankum every Sunday night. This week we're doing MCU movies where you can see the majority of this panel on. Sadly, Sandy can't make it, but he'll definitely be on another at some stage. But you can also find me competing in a dance-off match on Monday. You can also find me on Movie Battlegrounds in a couple of weeks where I take on Mr. Parker in a heated battle of debates. You can also find me in Full Metal and Multiplex. And you can also find me on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Stardust at Melkor.
All right. And last but definitely not least, I am the Black Lantern Brooklyn Vale. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as the real BK10, the number, the real BK10, the number, not the words. You can also find me right here at T3 Productions running not one but two shows. Jukebox Trivia on Mondays is a various music trivia debate, a podcast or content show where we do different things. Cody, you're getting really close to the camera, and I'm concerned. Be sure to check out our episode upcoming on Monday, where Caleb Coho takes on Matthew Rosa in our journey to the crown. Also, right here, Thursday, Lalo Take 3. Be sure to check out the next week's episode of Survivor Series with Sarah Turner. You can also find me on Full Metal Trivia. I just did a Nintendo Iron Man match yesterday, which was actually really fun. And you can find me on Multiplex. I took on Matthew Rosa in movie Warzone. And you can find me on TV Fandom, where I take on Harley Borg in a really good match. And also, that's about it.
Get out of here! Hey, and the show plug, and not let him plug. No,
No. Okay, all right. Sorry.
You think you can take us on?
Sorry. Multiplex random fight. I have to take on Harley Borg. If you think you can take on Cody, I'm sorry you can't, because we're full next week. So once again, for Abe, who joined on last week because fuck it, Cody Newberry, Matt Kearns, Robert Parker, Sandy Robbins, Malcolm Goldie, I am the Black Lantern Brooklyn Vale. Cheers, guys. And as always, please don't let him say it. Drive safe.
Drive safe.